Alright, as promised, we're going to do a video about leveling, crowning, dressing frets, but before we do that, I figure we'll get into the tools used because it's pretty much a whole video in itself. You've seen some of them, the beveling files, so we've already went through those. Fret pullers, obviously, just like I said, just got to be flat on top. Buy them from any hardware store, you don't have to spend a fortune. Fret nippers, again, flat on top, any hardware store, hit them on a grinder, flatten the top, again, don't have to spend a fortune. As far as leveling goes, you got these fret protectors. These are nice to have. They're not a must, but they're nice to have. Really the only thing I use these for is for marking frets. I use a blue Sharpie because I can see it better, but I just use these to mark the top of the frets so you don't get any Sharpie on the fretboard. It's the only thing I use them for. You can use tape too, you don't need them. They're nice to have. Little sanding sticks, these are for little detail work. Again, nice to have, not necessary, but still nice to have. Obviously, Sharpie is a must. Gotta have a Sharpie. Hammer, any kind of hammer. I think I paid $6 for this at a hardware store. Plastic handles. Sometimes with humidity, your fret ends will tend to pop up, and that'll fix the problem right there. I have another tool. Let's see. This is a little brass tool I bought from StuMac. As you can see, it's got a little divot in there. Fits right on the fret, and that actually makes doing that a little bit nicer. Again, nice to have, not necessary. 3-corner fret files. Now, StuMac's gonna sell you 3-corner fret files for $40 or $50 a piece. You can buy these for $5-10 at the hardware store. The only difference is at the hardware store, these edges aren't clean. You gotta clean them yourself with a Dremel, grinding wheel, whatever. Just make sure the corners are clean. That's all StuMac does, is it'll take this file, clean the corners off for you, and charge you an extra $40 or $50. And the reason for that is with the clean corner, you can clean the edges of the frets like so, and you're not marring up your fretboard. So make your own. I wouldn't spend a bunch of cash at StuMac for these. Like I said, just buy regular 3-corner files, clean up the edges. Crowning files. This is the first crowning file I've ever had. This is the first one when I built my first guitar. Comes with 3 burrs, small, medium, large. I got the large one on here right now because the last fret job I did was a bass, but for time purposes we won't change it. But it's a good file. Only works in one motion like that. I still use it all the time. Like I said, my first file works great. This here's the Cadillac. This is a diamond file. This side's 150 grit. So you get the 150, switch it over, 300, nice and shiny. What I usually do to prolong the life of this, because these are a little more expensive, this is like $66-70, something like that, is I'll take most of the meat off with this and finish it up with this. It's a really good idea to do. This I built when I built my first guitar. All it is a piece of walnut. I took a round file, As you can see, I filed a round channel in there. Not too deep because you don't want it to touch the fretboard, you just want to touch the fret. And what I use this for is when it's all said and done, leveled, crowned, and everything else. This is 600 grit sandpaper. Kind of fold it around here, and I use these little clips here, hang on to it, and it's really nice for polishing your frets. And you just work up the sandpaper. StewMac sells this really cool stuff. It's like a micro mesh pad. It's these right here. They come in 4, 6, 12, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 grit. By the time you get to 8,000 grit, your frets are pretty shiny as it is. I mean, they're nice and polished by that point. You can also use steel wool. I don't like steel wool, it makes a big mess, but it works too. As far as leveling goes, there's lots of different ways to do that. You have your radius blocks. This is a 12, this is a 16. These are pretty much most common for acoustic necks. This one happens to be a 12, so what you would do is you'd keep it straight on there. You know, you got all the tops of the frets marked with a blue Sharpie, and you just go down until all the Sharpie's off. You don't want to take too much off, you just want to remove the Sharpie. And as soon as all the Sharpie's gone off the top of the frets, your frets are leveled. That's one way to do it. These are fret files. StewMac also sells these. They're probably 40, 50 bucks. I made these myself. Just epoxied a file onto a bottom of a cute little handle I, carved myself. They're the exact same size as StewMac. Don't get me wrong, I like StewMac. It's just some of the stuff is too expensive and you can just make it yourself. These basically the same idea. You want to go in a straight line. Just keep going back and forth the same way you went. That way you won't mess up your radius. And you want to check your radius off, and this one happens to be a 12. Radius gauges are nice to have too. These are expensive. Right here you can get a lot cheaper ones. They got the square ones that got a different radius on each side. You can even get them printed off for free. You got your not straight edges. Again, I've showed you these before. These you can make yourself. You just got to make sure they're flat. This checks the actual fretboard itself. And some people, you don't want to check the fretboard, you want to check the frets. Well, you check them both. You move it over and now it's on top of the frets. You're checking the frets too. So you check your fretboard, you check your frets. If you're doing a complete refret, you want to know if your fretboard's true or not too, because when you take your frets out, you can re-radius your fretboard and make sure that's true too. Fret rocker, beautiful thing to have. Fits across 3 frets. As you go down, changes in length to fit across 3, 3, 3, 3. Now I know I have a high fret right in here, so you're gonna hear that? That's your high fret. That's got to be addressed. I knew that was there already, so I could show you that. When I first started, I didn't have a real fret rocker. What I did was I had 2 metal dowels, just like this. This is the small one. I don't know where the other one went to. It's somewhere. I have no idea. But I had 2 sizes cut to where they would fit across 3 frets. Now, our high fret, you can just roll this down here. And you can hear that too. So that works too. So you can make your own fret rocker. You don't need to buy that either, but it is nice to have. And if you want one, you don't have to get it from StewMac either. They sell them a lot cheaper. Other than that, that's pretty much what you're gonna need to level, crown, dress, basically do any kind of fret work. It's best to remove the nut always when you do that. It's real simple to do. You just put a little block up against it, give it a dirty tap, it usually pops right off. They're made to take off. They usually only put on with like one little drop of glue, so you can pop it off pretty simple. So that's pretty much about it. What you need to do, I mean the tools you need to do any type of fret work, or pretty much all kinds of fret work, leveling, dressing, crowning, all that. Next video I make, I have a guitar that does need to be refretted, so we'll do the whole thing. What else was I gonna say? Oh, another way of leveling frets, some people like to use these long beams. I got these too, you know, and it's basically same idea as everything else. So there's several different ways. It just all depends on you. Obviously we went through the fret saws. If you're in the cut slots yourself, you got fret saws, or they got table saw rigs or pleck machines or whatever the hell they call those things. I do everything by hand, so good straight edge, always good to have. But that's about it. When you start getting into, I mean, that's just for doing leveling, crowning, dressing frets. This is the stuff you're gonna need. When you start getting into other things, and you're gonna start getting into feeler gauges and all this other crap, and we'll get into that next video. I just wanted to do one to show you the tools that I use. Also, with these micro mesh pads, I like I said, it goes up to 8,000, and by the time you get up to 8,000, they're shinier than all hell. But I still have a stick that I use for honing chisels, and what you do is you rub that on a piece of leather, and you kind of polish them off, and it shines up like a brand new penny. It's beautiful. So that's really about it. That's about what you would need. If you have what I have sitting here, you're ready to go. You could do any fret job. You pull frets, refret, crown, dress, level, whatever. Most important thing is when you're leveling everything, and make sure your fretboard is as straight as possible. That is the most important thing. Other than that, that's the tools you need. And I will see you again soon, and we'll do a fret job.